Hey everyone, this is Brandon from Gaucho Plugins, the development team behind Domain Mapping System. In the last video, I finished setting up my name server records in order to start using Cloudflare as my CDN. In this video, I'll show you how to configure all the rest of the DNS records you might need for your website project. There are a few types of DNS records to set up, including CNAME, MX, TXT, SPF, and DKIM. I recommend setting these records up for every project where you'll be both building a website and using email for that domain. Let's go through what each of these records are used for. Records direct traffic to a host, typically a website server. CNAME records are aliases of your primary domain, like www. MX records direct email traffic. TXT records are used for all sorts of verification purposes, including improving email deliverability with special TXT records for SPF and DKIM. Let's jump into the Cloudflare Dashboard, where I'll start by configuring my record. I'll add the @ symbol to signify my primary domain and the IP address of my website hosting server. Then, I'll add the CNAME record for www, an alias of my primary domain. Cloudflare has this little orange cloud icon, which means that you're proxying traffic through Cloudflare servers for that DNS record. In order to set up SSL on my website in a later video, I'll need to leave my web traffic unproxied for now, so my server can auto-generate an SSL certificate instead of using Cloudflare's SSL. We'll reactivate this later. Let's move on to MX records. Your MX records will come from your email provider. This might be an email provider like Google Workspace or Microsoft Office 365, or you may decide to host email on the same server as your website. If you're using a hosting company, go back and create an record for the subdomain mail, and then create an MX record pointing to mail.yourdomain.com with priority 0. I put links in the description to the MX records for the other major providers I mentioned if you decide to use one of their services. I recommend using an email provider like Google Workspace because it offloads email traffic from your web hosting server and keeps your email more safe and secure, separate from your website. The last records I need to set up are TXT records for SPF and DKIM. SPF records are used for verifying which servers are allowed to send email on behalf of your domain. SPF records are a bit complex, so I put a link in the description below about how to properly configure them. The main point to understand with SPF records is that any server that is sending email on behalf of your domain needs to be identified in your SPF record. Otherwise, those emails may go to spam and/or be rejected by the receiving server. For example, if you're using MailChimp or email automation providers, you'll need to add their server into your SPF record. You should only have one SPF record per domain, and it should identify all the verified servers for sending email from your domain. I'll enter my SPF record based on the details for my server and the guide in the description, and move on to DKIM. DKIM is a public record that allows the receiving server of an email to verify with the originating server that it is, in fact, allowed to send emails on behalf of your domain. When receiving an email, a receiving server will check your public DKIM keys to match them to the sending server. If the public key doesn't match the private server key, the email may be rejected. You can have multiple DKIM records for each server sending email on behalf of your domain. I also suggest configuring dmarc records, so I put a link in the description below, but these are not required in most smaller projects, and may cause emails to be rejected unnecessarily. This is all you need to know for configuring DNS for most WordPress website projects. In the next video, I'll show you how to set up your WordPress website on your hosting server.